right there. Literally, you go look up what I'm telling you. Surah Taha, all right, chapter 20 of Al-Quran is composed of two letters that say this is a mystery. We don't even know what this means. And Al-Quran says it's clear. So then people are still walking away saying, I don't know what this means. They didn't study the language, which means that even hidden in like Hebrew, there are letters that have a hidden message behind it, like the letters Tov and the letters Ra. Why is that important? Because that's the whole Torah right there. It'll show you that Torah is two words of Tov and Ra, but you have to sound it out phonetically. There are a lot of hidden mysteries that haven't come forth. And then you deal with what somebody else was asking about, that dot. The dot is the key to figure out all the mysteries. The dot, or being right there in the center, is the key to figure out all the mysteries. So a lot of people, especially those who came from the nation of Islam, all right, or up under the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him, or people who listen to lectures of Farrakhan, they will say Allah is not a mystery God. Well, not according to Al-Quran. According to the book y'all supposed to be reading, all right, that's written or recited in the language y'all are supposed to know by now. But a lot of the NOI, they don't know Arabic. All right, that's not saying that they're not Muslims because they don't know it. It's just saying that how are you going to be able to fully understand your book if you don't even know Arabic? All right, which is what it was recited in. And if this was something that we're not talking about. You want to know what the real issue is here? We're not talking about just finding out how we're going to build a school. We're not talking about finding out how we're going to make a cake. We're not talking about whether or not I like your shoes. We're talking about damnation or eternal life. According to these religions, we're talking about my soul ascends or it descends. We're talking about I reach Jannah or I reach Jahannam. According to your stories, we're talking about heaven or hell. We're talking about redemption, or we're talking about condemning a person. You understand what I'm explaining to you? So if somebody's going to be able to be redeemed versus condemned, do you think it'll be important to them, according to that judgment and that whole structure, to know the language of the book? Do you think it'll be important to them to go, listen, let's say I'm a Christian, and then you come and talk to me about my book, and I don't know Aramaic. Do I care about my soul? According to this book that's been written and passed down all this time, you have Aramaic or the Septuagint and Greek and all this. I didn't learn any of these languages, but I'm talking about I care about God and I care about my soul. You understand what I'm explaining to you? So what people are really dealing with that's causing this disruption is a very deep jihad. And the jihad is what? The jihad is people are fighting for riches and wealth. People are fighting to maintain their illusion while they're here. And they're trying to say that that maintenance of that illusion is in alignment with what God said. That maintenance of that illusion is in alignment with Al-Quran was expressing, or Allah Ta'ala or Rasulullah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was saying. It's not. It's just you want to serve Mammon. If you walk over into the money or the illusionary or the illusory money or financial world, then there's plenty of excuses as to why you shouldn't know what you're doing. There's plenty of excuses as to why you shouldn't take your religion serious. There's plenty of excuses how you shouldn't dress like Muhammad. Why would you want to dress like Muhammad? It's not like you're Mohammedans or Muhammadists. Why would you want to dress like Muhammad? It's not like you're taking after his example. No, you can just wear whatever you want to wear. Put on suits. Go out and peddle in the streets and make your money, make your quota. All right, same thing, not just with the NOIs, with everybody. They're more focused on economics. When you talk to the people who are a part of these organizations, their biggest focus is economics. You understand what I'm explaining to you? And it shouldn't be this deep, but it's even as deep than when I talk to the Sabaeans. What are they worried about? Money. You understand that? Y'all bear witness to this. They'll rather delete information so that people can't have access to it. Information or affirmation, let's deal with it truthfully. Beneath formation, information, affirmation, the biosystem, okay? They would rather remove that from people, okay, than to allow them to have it if it means that them having it for free, they can't reap the benefits of it. So then who do they serve? They serve money. They're not in it for the soul. There are a lot of people who are in it just for the money, and you can tell. Why? Because they're afraid to speak the truth. Look at what's going on right now. A lot of people see me standing up out here, and what will they do? They'll close their eyes. They know it's true, or they'll speak in the background, or they'll even go as far as attempting to tell me to stop speaking the truth. They'll tell me speak smoother. They'll tell me be cautious. When I wrote the letter to Farrakhan, I got plenty threats from the NOI. Oh, be careful, brother. You got to be watchful, brother. I shouldn't have to be careful because Allah will deal with me if I'm stepping wrong. You don't have to step forth and deal with me. You don't have to raise a fist against me, Malcolm, or anybody. Allah will deal with us if we're doing wrong. Then why is it that people will come out and say things like, this man is worthy of death? Or why would my brother that's a part of the same organization that I'm in say that because I'm going and challenging the teachings of my teacher at that time, why does he put out this whistle that says this man is worthy of death? And then why does this man end up dead? This is the battle we're dealing with. Truth and life, okay? Versus deception and death. You understand what I'm explaining to you? And a lot of people, most people have chosen already death. They want the dead world. You see some of these same people say the black man this, the black man is God, and their biggest concern is pieces of paper with Caucasoid faces on it. Ain't that interesting? The black man is God, yet your biggest concern is this whole system that was supposed to have been built up and orchestrated by the same white supremacy construct that you say people are supposed to be fighting against. And you want me to take you serious. Y'all boycott Target for one day. You boycott Target for one day. How about boycott their money? How about catch the attention of the realm itself because you're no longer buying into the illusion that this is actual currency. That was never currency. The only currency was your attention. The only currency was your soul. The only currency was your time. You understand what I'm explaining to you? So a lot of people have chosen death already, and they're dealing with that war to this day. You know, when we're dealing with those two lights that I talked to you about, you have two lights, right? What were the two lights? You have binary, okay? Or my two lights that we can deal with the ascent and figure out whether or not we're going to go this way or that way. Okay, what are those two lights? Those two lights are amber and emerald. All right, but it functions as binary. Okay, because the word nur is light. So you have two lights. All right, and they function as two pieces of information that'll help you figure anything out. That which allows for you to go quantum, looking at the zeros and the ones. And then you understand your superposition when you go beyond just the zeros and the ones, and you understand how they function one and the same. All right, that's how you'll know what to do with what. When you're dealing with binary, all right, the numbering system, and you say 0, 1, and you go all the way up to 1, and then you go 10, or you go 11, and you go all the way up 100, and you go 111, and then you end up at 1,000, all right? And then you end up at 1,001, okay? When you get to that 1,001st point, that's the number 9. The equivalent of the number 9 is 9 steps up from the base of 0. That's where you start. Literally, it still takes you to 9 to be balanced as 1001. So if you were to write down 1001, you'll observe that there's a center of it, okay, which will really look like 1, the infinity sign, and then another 1. That right there, that merges those two zeros, all right, or that junction of those two Niles, all right, or that merging point of the two waters, or the strait, where I talked to you about the straight and narrow. Remember, straight means water, all right, as in where two places or two bodies of water are separated. And then you have narrow in Greek, that means water, okay? So you have those two places that come together. That's where people need to be standing to understand the mystery. But what do people do? They'll teeter. And interestingly enough, when they teeter, you'll see that they're teetering because they become either too spiritual or they become too physical. What does that mean? They become too involved in the figuring out of their destiny here on earth, or they become too involved of figuring out what their role here is as far as monetary and financial and status. And that's what Al-Quran was warning people about. They warn people about it. You go read the chapter. As a matter of fact, let me tell you another secret, okay? Because you go Surah 102, all right? So all of those letters that I told you about earlier, if you were to add the value of them up, okay, so you have Lam, which is the 23rd, and you have Meen, which is the 24th. So if you were to add the value of them up, guess what? You get another secret. And that secret is 102. Chapter 102, you'll find that it's all about, it's speaking literally all about people's rivalry with one another and their competition when it comes to status. People want to be higher than the next man. And you hear people like Dr. Malachi York, even when he came to the NOI and everybody, he said, I don't want to be these people's enemies. I just want people to deal with the truth. These people he said, people, they scared to death of me. Why are they so afraid of me? Why are they so afraid of phase one? You'll see them respond to everybody. We went over this a million times. Why are they so afraid of me? And why are so many people afraid? Y'all are sending me stuff showing me that somebody is literally trying to disassociate themselves with me as if I ever called myself a Sabaean. I can't relate to whatever that fearful energy is. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, he don't have nothing to do with me. I'm this or we're that. He's not a Sabaean. You damn right. Could you say it louder so they can hear? I was never told to be a Sabaean. I was never told to go to Wusabat. I was never told to go to any of these places. I was always told to stay on my square, stay on my center, and to always behold the message. And what is the message? Nuapu. I'm a Nuapian. So you're right. I don't walk around with no two unks on my head, and I don't walk around in the black and gold, and I'm not dressed in uniform. You want to know what I'm busy doing? I put on my robes, or I put on my suit, or I put on my thobe, or I put on my t-shirt and chain and watch. I'm going out into the communities to talk to these people, walk with these people, as these people, being in their world but not of it, to actually reach them. Because what do we have? Listen, this is what Dr. Malachi York said verbatim. He said, if he's introverted, I don't need him. He said, I don't want people sitting in class going, yeah, that's good. He said, we need people to get out there and go and teach. If they're not going to teach you, we're wasting our time. So what is it that we're being taught, and what is it that we're charged with teaching? If you think it's the doctrine, you don't know what this is. If you think that you can stand there and talk from actual facts, Patarat, the holy tablets, any of the books, and just repeat what he says, and you're reaching souls, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what this is. If you think you're just going to take a phrase that has been said before by any of the greats, any of the masters, and just say, oh, this is my phrase now, and make it my own, I'm going to go out here and teach Nine Ether, and you think you're saving souls, you think you're reaching people at the center, you don't know what time it is. You're not really paying attention. Because what is it to you that 50 years ago there was a different lingo? You had people calling people jive turkeys at one point in time. Now a nigga might walk up to you and say, you lame as hell. Then if you're in a deep enough part of the city, they're going to put a G on it. Did you ever imagine that? They get your wanger. If you ain't never heard nobody say that, you weren't deep enough, don't even worry about it. You weren't supposed to be out there if you ain't never heard it. You understand what I'm explaining to you? So how can you literally use the same phrases that were used for that time period? How can you use the same wordings that were used for that time period? That was to wake those people up. You got people still out here talking about the Asiatic black man. They from Chicago. They ain't never been to Asia. All right? And this is what I'm explaining to you. The original man, the colored man, all of that is outdated. All right? Even the population of that time period of the world that was being explained to those people, it doesn't apply to right now. So why don't they want to grow? What are they afraid of? Let me tell you why somebody might not want to leave their merchandise house. Let me tell you why somebody might not want to leave their place of business. Let me tell you why somebody might not want to leave the plant. Let me tell you, because they got it good. That's all they can think. I'm making money here. What are you talking about? I don't need another messenger. Nuri Muhammad might say, oh, we don't need no more messengers. We already had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Dr. Malachi York just copied out the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You heard Rashad Jamal say it. These people say, oh, you just copied out this person. If they would have said it, that would be a lie, because they were trying to deflect from the fact that they were running off with information and trying to what? Turn it into merch. Turn it into t-shirts. Turn it into videos, which became the new t-shirts, where people were peddling information that was already put out at that point in time for those people. And they're telling new people that that information is what's going to save their soul, not understanding that the information itself is alive and living. If you go on and you're looking for phase 1 10 years ago, and you can't find it because you keep seeing younger pictures of me, and you give up, and I'm standing there, I'm like, what's wrong with you? I can't find you. I didn't look that way. You understand? You're looking for an older version in something that's new, and you're looking for a newer version in something that's old, and you think this is going to get you to accurate positions and places that you need to reach. You think you'll be able to receive the gems fully, and you're looking for, just take that in for a gem. if I say, oh, show me a picture of you when you were 10, I'm not going to behold who you are now, right? So then what about this? If I go around showing people a picture of you when you're 10 years old, and I'm saying, this here is who? This is Tyrone, or this is Janelle, all right, or this is Tasha, or this is Shakina. And I walk in, and they say, okay, cool. And I say, go and find her. And they're looking all over the damn world for Shakina, and they don't even know who to speak to because nobody look. They walking up on random children that kind of look like this image. And Shakina, Tasha, Tyrone, everybody that grew up. That's what they did with this information. Niggas still trying to teach non-ether. Don't understand it. They still trying to talk about carbon. Never understood it. They're trying to talk about dark matter. Never understood it. They're trying to talk about the Anunnaki. Never understood it. They're sending people down who people are claiming to be a part of the Anunnaki to talk to them about extraterrestrials, and they sound empty, like trash cans. You understand that? They sound empty. What has happened? They have refused to leave their places of business. They refuse to. Then you'll see people put on their story because y'all know y'all sent it to me. Oh, I'll be damned if I struggle. I got to take care of my family. Sounds so familiar. Sounds so familiar. But what profit of man? I hope people paying attention to what I'm saying at this moment. What profit of man? You gained the whole world. You have people like 21 Savage saying stuff like, this is how I feed my family. So you have to feed your family by pushing destruction to all these other people's community. Well, then how does the man who works the garbage truck feed his family? How does the woman who works at Kmart feed her family? How does the person who does lashes, how does the lash tech feed her family? And how is it that these people are not causing death, but they're still able to feed their family? And they might have missed a very important point, but I'll teach it to them because they're not paying attention. $500,000 earrings ain't feeding your family. Not to mention, niggas is losing their earrings. You know, they'll spend all this money on this, on these diamonds, or these glasses, all right, or these pieces of glass. They're telling people diamonds. They'll promote that. Say, okay, and then what? Their family ain't being fed by that. The cars you buying ain't feeding your family. Guess who is feeding? You. Which is the synthetic you, not the authentic you. I already told you people gonna have to choose between the moon or the sun. They're gonna have to, and they're looking at it from the wrong way. If they understood it, it's not you're going left or right. Okay? You got to stand that thing up. So you'll understand that the moon is at the bottom and the sun is at the top. The straight and narrow. You say, should I go left? Should I go right? Should you go down or up? That's what you're trying to figure out. And when you deal with it through the law of correspondence, you'll understand the trick that was set up here. Somebody listening? That people are looking for this or that, not understanding that it's both, and you need to stand in the center. That's how you get home. That means no matter what you're reading, whether it's from left or right, right from left, you'll know what the information is. You'll know what the beneath information is, information out information is, and you'll become T or Eve, alive. So don't tell me Allah is not a mystery. It's a mystery to you. You got people claiming that they sat with Allah. You got people claiming that they were on the mothership with this. Were you there? Or were you on the West End over there by Adair Park passing out newspaper, selling me bean pie? Or were you over here selling me crystals, telling me what to do to put the energy on my altar? Or which one of y'all sat with the Anunnaki face to face? We are Anunnaki gods. What if I'm a devil? Did you ever think of that? What if this man over here is a devil? Did you ever think of that? What if this person right here is a draconian and they just look like a melanin dominant person? What do you mean we are Anunnaki gods? You have to drop the illusion. Anybody telling you we are Anunnaki gods, ask them when the next time they say, and I'm not talking about this is what they're going to try to hit you with. I'm not talking about you took some shrooms and you imagine because it's already rooted in your psyche to do so. Extraterrestrials. You don't understand how powerful the brain is, depending on what level your frequency is on, all right, or what state of consciousness you're in. In lucid dreaming, I'll talk with the Anunnaki tonight, and y'all want to hear what they say? I'll go into my dream and say, Anu. And because I already have an image of Anu, guess who's going to pull up? The exact image that I've already seen. So these people didn't even clue that these beings were potentially melanin dominant until Dr. Malachi York put out the images. And now people are trying to group these people with images that Dr. Malachi, those are his images. And then Dr. Malachi York had a whole teacher say, are the images real? Somebody said, you saying that this ain't a real image. How are we supposed to know that this image that you put out of Anu is real? How are we supposed to believe that? He said, I'm telling you, don't believe the images. He said, because you're not going to know unless you've seen them yourself. So let's say Dr. Malachi York is the only person that's on this planet at this point in time that has seen Anu face to face. Let's deal with this truthfully. Dr. Malachi York said, I saw Anu. He said, Anu was a man. I saw him face to face. All right? Ask the Sabaeans what they think of Anu now. And then tell me whether or not they believe in Anu or they know what they're talking about. Ask Nuwapians. Ask anybody who thinks. Ask the conscious community. What do you think about Anu? Okay, when the last time you saw Anu face to face? We know that there's a possibility that you can see these beings because Dr. Malachi York talked about it, right? These people haven't seen it. And now they're saying that, no, we don't, the Anunnaki stuff ain't us. We beyond it now. We on the terror. I said he was teaching the terror when he was out. And he taught you how a lot of these people are the same beings. You're just using different languages to express about it. But guess what? If you're talking about you're praying to Padnataru or the Neteru or the Elohim or the Anunnaki or the angels or Jesus or God or Allah, whatever it is, and you've never been in the presence of any of these beings the way that some of these people in your stories have, you're a believer. You don't know what you're talking about. So you can't tell me the new doctrine is that we are to pray. You can't tell me the new doctrine is that we are to believe when I can find many different things that Dr. Malachi York said in his books. Like, I told y'all don't believe me, you still want to believe. He even said recently, y'all want a religion, you can have a religion. Y'all still want religion. You don't want to know. The biggest key here is you'll start realizing what you don't know, you'll stop wasting time. You'll stop wasting time. Let's say it takes a certain amount of money, I don't know, $144,000 to get into this ship that leaves before this plane is destroyed. Let's just put that out there. $144,000 you need. All right? This is what it is. It will not change. This is what you've been told. You got to figure it out. You will know the truth is equivalent to you having $144,000 in funds to be able to enter that city or that ship. So then would you waste your time telling people you got money and you don't have it? Would you waste your time collecting pennies and you've already mapped out how long it's going to take for you to just make $1? It's going to take you 30 years and you don't have 30 years and you out here collecting pennies? Would you waste your time debating with another motherfucker about whether or not the dollar they got or the dollar you got is real? No, this is my dollar. My dollar is the real dollar. You got a mystery dollar. I got a real. Would you waste your time? And I'm telling you, this is something that has been happening. People have been wasting time. And these same people only want to deal with the religious part that says how to live in the world. And they don't want to deal with those same books saying, my father's home is not a place of merchandise. This ain't my dad's home. This isn't my father's home. You have turned it into, and I don't care nothing about your money. Oh, you're a rich man? Great. How about this? Take your riches and give it to the poor and then walk with me. And let's see what happens. See if you can reach everlasting life then. You understand that? But everywhere you look, people are talking about riches. Everywhere you look, people are talking about economics. Don't worry. If they got the BWO, trust and believe it has something to do with economics. Oh, don't worry. They're going to try to bring the conscious community together. It's going to have something to do with making them richer. You'll never observe them not having the funds of this world, but the wealth of life and still getting things done. You'll never observe that. You'll observe that you'll go around them and they're the ones who are wealthy. And you're the ones trying to figure out how to achieve wealth or riches, not understanding that it's already in and out you every time you breathe. So is God a mystery? Of course God is a mystery. The question is, when, where, or has the mystery of God been finished? Can we read Revelation chapter 12? No, Revelation chapter 10. Let's go 10 all the way up to verse 8.
And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth.
Right.
And cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices.
Mm-hmm.
And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, See, seal up those things
Right.
which the 7 thunders uttered,
And write them not. Right? That's what it says, right? And write them not.
True.
So let me ask you a question. Are you not reading what they call the book of God? Isn't it supposed to be God's word? Okay, so is this not a mystery? Ask your pastor, what are the 7 thunders? Ask Farrakhan, what are the 7 thunders? Ask 19 Keith, what are the 7 thunders? Now you have to understand, these people belong to religions. 19 Keys grew up Muslim, and is still a Muslim, still walking around with Muslim symbols. So this book is a part of that whole lineup. Why so? Because Revelation and Al-Quran go hand in hand. You understand it? And we're going to see something about a little book being passed and everything in these books. All right? So then, all right, do you adhere to the Torah? Do you adhere to Revelation? Do you believe in this God that's supposed to be aligned with the Christian God? Does your book, Al-Quran, say, don't argue with these people about the God, our God are one. Your God and my God are one. Okay, so then you will align with the Christians and their God. Okay, what are the 7 thunders? Tell us. Don't speak about us about higher level if you can't explain what the 7 thunders are. Why am I saying that? Because in this very book, okay, it says, what? Don't write down what the 7 thunders are. Yet, the 7 thunders were written to have uttered a thing. Read it one more time, that same verse.
And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not.
So yes or no? Is this a mystery? That's a mystery, isn't it? They don't know what the 7 thunders are. That's a mystery. Keep reading.
And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hands to heaven, and swore by him that liveth for ever and ever, who created heaven, and the things that therein are, and the earth, and the things that therein are, and the sea, and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer.
Time no longer. What is time? If you deal with it truthfully, time itself is a mystery. When you first open up this book that we're reading from now, they start talking about something dealing with time, don't they? In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. Or if you read it in the proper, and you read it in Hebrew, right? You'll say in beginning. Okay, so better sheaf. All right, in the beginning or in beginning or in a beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. There cannot be the beginning. How do we know this? Because God is doing a thing. And in order for God to do a thing, there must exist space for God to do it. In order for God to do a thing and space is there, if we're dealing with the true space-time continuum that science has figured out about or taught about, then that means that there's space and time already there. So there is no beginning here. There may be a beginning of this planet that you're talking about, or even still, you're not dealing with the beginning of that planet. You're dealing with the beginning of the formation of the land that's on that planet, because they never said they created the water. So they said the earth was there. It was void and without form, meaning that there was components of the land available to pull together to make land. All right? But it was in the water. So they pulled that together to create land masses, according to what this story is explaining. So is time a mystery? Yes, it is. They're still trying to figure out about time. Let me tell you how you know time is a mystery. They have something called, you can research it, time dilation theory, Einstein. All right, where it says the closer you get to the center of gravity, the stronger the force is, meaning time will move slower. So they literally are qualifying time as some type of fabric that's affected by other things in space, okay? Including the gravitational center of the earth or any other body. You can test this out. Watch the movie Interstellar, by the way, because they show that when they went into another planet, you'll see that there were huge waves of water that were moving super slow, apparently. But as they got, you'll see how tall they were and how big the waves were. The frequencies of that planet were a lot lower and slower. You understand that? Because when you're dealing with frequencies, you're dealing with waves, all right, and wavelengths. You're dealing with crests and troughs the same way you deal with the water in the ocean and you see the tide. Okay, that's still crest and trough. There's ebbs and flows, all right? So then the frequencies of that planet must have been slower. And the time must have been slower because they were only there for what seemed like an hour and some change. But when they got back to the ship that was waiting outside of that plane, the man that was on the ship had been arrested, right? For what? 27 years. So that means that time moved differently for him. How is that possible? They're both still in the same quote-unquote reality. You can observe that when you go to rest. You can observe that if y'all are in a room together and somebody is sleeping, to them it seems like they've been resting for 9 minutes, okay? But 9 hours have passed, and you observe those 9 hours, and you can take into account those 9 hours. You can recall those 9 hours, but this particular person isn't able to do that. You see what I'm explaining to you? They can only account for 9 minutes, but both of y'all are in the same room. So this is why they say time is relative. So if time is relative, then it must be a mystery, because according to where your position, time will be a way to you. And according to another person in their positioning, time will be another way. Which way is the way? You understand what I'm explaining to you? How can I say for sure to somebody, time isn't speeding up, you're just getting older? You understand what I'm explaining to you? Time isn't speeding up, you're just changing in age, so that's why that effect is different. How can you say that to that person truthfully when you're not even experiencing time? Y'all realize that not everybody is experiencing time speeding up. And now, since we've established time as a mystery, answer this question, science is included, because they do delve into the Bible and Al-Quran, especially the physicists, okay, when it comes to the Quran, to try to figure out more about whoever these scientists were, or these guys, or Elohim, or Agdoad, or Enad, or whoever these beings were, as far as their information and their wisdom when it comes to the reality that they're operating in. So they'll delve into the books. Please answer this question. What does it mean when it said that for the elite's sake, or for the elect's sake, the days will be shortened? How do you shorten days? You understand what I'm explaining to you? What are you doing when it comes to time? Now, realistically speaking, if the planet rotates, then the only way to speed up a day that's categorized by the rotation of the planet is to increase that rotation's speed, correct? Meaning, if I want it to be a faster day, and I'm counting a day based on the rotation of the planet, all right, then that means that that day will only be faster if that rotation speeds up. And it'll be a slower day, all right, if that rotation slows down. You with me? But who has the power to do that? Is that an answer or a question? So is who a mystery? Is who God is a mystery? And you look up H-U, who, right there in the middle of Tahuti that we were talking about, and you'll find that it's dealing with a mystery. All right, or in other language, ancient Egyptian language, you might find different derivatives that say, what, this is Ha, and Ha is the infinite one, and you don't really understand about it. So we have who as the creative force, and you'll find that, you go research it. If that is the creative force, not just the creative force, you have the creative force of utterance. All right, all of this is a mystery, because in the beginning was what? The Word. Not just in the beginning shows up more than once in the Bible. You have the Genesis, and then you have the John. So one says, in the beginning, God created this and then a third. And then another said, in the beginning was the Word. You with me? And that word was uttered. Listen to what I'm explaining to you, because you'll find that utterance and who are synonymous linguistically. All right? So you have a creative force that brings you to words and how they push out and become things and realities. Are you with me? So that's what they refer to as the Word of God. Like I asked the sister, are we reading the Word of God? They said yes. So then we're reading Medunetta. If this is the Word of God, then linguistically we're reading Medunetta. And if we're reading Medunetta, we're reading divine speech. And in order to fully understand divine speech, we must have the cipher, okay, or the code in order to break that down, break down the light. Like they say, Lu cipher. Dr. Malachi York taught that. Lu cipher is Lu or looks, Cipher, meaning to break down light or carry the light. What is the light? Information. And if you don't have the right information, you'll be clueless on all of these things. What are the noble gases? You understand that? Or what are the elementary particles? What is the periodic table? Before they said this is the periodic table, because it didn't start like that. They had to keep adding different things, and then you have your alkaline metals and all this stuff, noble gases, and they figure more about this one, so they move it around, and this value moves over here. It didn't start that way. What were they figuring out, and what are they still attempting to figure out? You with me? So if they're attempting to figure out time, and it's elusive to them, what to say of your reality? If they don't even understand truly the functionalities of time, how do you think they understand truly the functionalities of space itself? And when y'all say space, y'all have to stop thinking we're talking about off the planet, because this is space right here. You understand that? I just moved through space, and I don't even have to move, if you want to say move as in A to B, to occupy space. I can stand still and still be in motion in space. And this staff right here is still occupying